Hey everybody, I hope you're doing fantastic. Today we're going DIY and checking out the 15 IPS tape emulator color module from DIYRE. Now if you're familiar with this company, you already know how cool the color format is. If you're not familiar, the color format is basically analog plugins. They're these cool little cards that you can build and go in one of their color palettes, like the 500 series I have here. They also make a 19-inch rack space version. This 15 IPS is a really neat color module. I'm not going to try to convince you that these sound just like tape. However, I do think they do a nice job at adding some tape-like dynamics control or compression, as well as some really nice harmonic saturation and kind of fullness and richness that we associate with the tape sound. I'm going to demonstrate this on multiple sound sources, and I'm going to show you some ways that I have used them and give you an idea of what they sound like in some different situations. But first, I want to take a look at the build. I didn't actually shoot any long form video while I was building them, but I did shoot a short Instagram reel showing how well laid out this build is. So let's take a quick look at that. I have been looking forward to building these kits for a while, and today it is finally time to start. I'm gonna do a pair of the 15 IPS analog tape saturation color modules from DIY Recording. The packaging is fantastic. Look at this, all nicely organized, everything laid out, easy to find. This is freaking cool. There's a PDF that you can print that has everything labeled. It's all numbered in order. You can take all the individual pieces out, put them in their proper place, and you basically just follow the numbers and build this thing. The palettes are finished. Came out pretty nice too. Easy build. Color modules are done. Another great build. This was so much fun to build. It was so well laid out, and I am excited to hear what this sounds like. So now it's time to go drop them in the rack. Okay, first up, we're gonna go to one of the big mic test songs, which was the acoustic one that has 4 mics on a drum set, bass, and stereo acoustic guitars. Let's take a quick listen to our track, and then we'll dive into the 15 IPS. All right, we're going to start with the acoustic guitars because you can hear as well as see the waveform that there is quite a difference from the arpeggio to the strumming, which is quite natural with a performance like this. And I'm going to probably go a little bit heavy-handed so you can really hear what it sounds like, and then we'll try to dial in a setting and print it so we can compare it. I mean, you can get it crunchy. You can hear it breaking up now. All right, that's too much. Let's back this off a little bit. Let's go like around 50%, see what we get. You can hear it's actually adding a little bit of fullness, some nice low mid in there. And smoothing out that performance a little bit. All right, I'm gonna pull in the whole kit here. I'll take it from the beginning of the drums, pull everything in, let's hear it in context. It actually adds some fullness even on the arpeggio. It fills the guitar sound out just a little bit. One thing I like about the whole, like tape-like dynamics control is you get that natural rounding off of the transients without having the artifacts of compression. I mean, unless you hit it really hard like you heard when I put it at 100%. But for what I'm trying to do here is just trying to even those guitars out but still make them feel natural. So let's print this. I'm not going to film the printing in process just to save us a little time, because after we do this, a dozen times, it's a lot of dead space. So I'll be right back. All right, let's take a quick look. Now, I don't want to get used to like trying to listen with our eyes here, but I think this is a pretty good representation of how the 15 IPS color module is taming the transients. So the green is our original acoustic part, and the blue here is what we just printed. And you can see we are getting some really nice dynamic control. It's even smoothing out the arpeggio part. You can see some of these peaks that are here, are a little bit smaller here. It's a little bit more consistent, and definitely more consistent throughout here. So we're getting a couple things from this. Dynamic control, but we're also adding a little bit of thickness to the tone. Now I'm gonna mute what we just printed. We're gonna do a full comparison in a second. All right, let's check out the bass. I'm gonna mute the drums and the acoustic and loop our bass guitar. We're gonna do this on another track, but this overdriving a bass is one of the coolest features you can do with this. But let's go for listen for the attack. It smooths it out quite a bit. Let's push it a little harder for fun. There's a really nice low end that comes from this. All right, let's listen in context here real quick. You can feel the low end just getting solidified a little bit with that on. Now, some of these moves are subtle. These are going to be cumulative. Once we do this on a few different sound sources, you're really going to hear the sound that they're imparting on everything. So let's print this bass real quick. All right, let's take a look at the drums. Specifically the kick and the snare. We're going to leave the overheads out of this for a minute. So let's just start with our kick drum. You can really start to hear it round that transient off. Here, I'll go max. Gets a little mushy there, but that's just to show you what it can do. So let's roll it back a little. Ooh, I like that. It's adding, I mean, I know we're listening in solo right now, but it's adding this really cool bottom to it, and it's making it a little bit thicker sounding, and a little less of that basketball thing is kind of happening. Although it's not bad, but I like what it's doing. So now let's go to our snare real quick and see what we can get there. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Also notice what it's doing to the hi-hat and the bleed of the kick. Now again, we could get extreme with this. Ooh, that's kind of cool actually. That brought the kick out, now you hear that. Let's back it off. I like how it controls, especially that little fill. It makes it very even with everything else. Let's hear the kick and snare together. Let's bring in the whole kit here. All right, let's print the kick and snare. Gonna do it again offline. I'll be right back. Now that everything is printed, let's take a listen to the difference between our original sound source and the new 15 IPS version, starting with the original. All right, 15 IPS version. I don't know. I kind of like the print with the 15 IPS. It just sounds more interesting. It's a little bit fatter, and it's definitely more consistent. And that's one use for these 15 IPS modules, is that really nice tape-like dynamic control and harmonic saturation. And that is our first demo. Now we're going to take a listen to the 15 IPS modules on something a little bit heavier and see if we can add a little bit of a growl to a bass guitar, and then see if we can beef up some toms. But first, let's go to the bass. Just a good old DI, nothing fancy. Let's see if we can make it a little bit meaner. Also going to smooth it out, but I want to go, let's go, ah, yeah. Now we're starting to talk. Yeah. Okay, so before you think I'm nuts because you haven't heard this track, well, you have heard this track if you've seen some of these videos on the channel, but right now, let me turn this off just to start with here. Give you an idea of what we're working with. So that's what we have. So now I'll turn this on after a few bars. Now, the whole point of this is to show that you can add some really cool hair on a sound with these. I'm gonna print this in real quick. All right, let's take a look at this. You can see on the original, you can see there's probably a little bit of compression when we tracked this because you can see the hit right here and then the compressor kick in. Look how smooth this is when you start pushing that 15 IPS. Now, it's really growly. It's a very, very different sound. Let me just run all of this out the same. 23, 24. So I can just solo the bass up. It's a bit more interesting with the 15 IPS really being pushed hard. Now let's listen to the original there. The fact that the 15 IPS version, one is being pushed hard to get some of that gnarliness in there. It also is making the low mid really powerful, and you can still feel the eighth notes. And now we're gonna try it on some toms. We'll go back to this A section and just take a listen to our toms. So they actually sound really nice, but let's see if we can, well, beef them up even more. And I'm gonna push them a little bit just, you know, for the sake of argument here to hear what happens. Because you could make this into an effect, which I don't necessarily want to do. That's actually kind of cool. Some nice dynamic control and a little bit of what happens if we push it? Let's go, let's go. Yeah, you can hear it start to break up. Let's go full on. Okay, maybe a little too much for ours. So let's go back around this 50% mark here. It's actually kind of interesting. It almost tightens them up a little bit. Let's bring our instruments back in. Here I'm hearing it focus the toms a little bit more. I'm hearing the bottom come out. And even the riding of the floor tom, I feel like I can feel it as well as hear it a little bit better when they're on. They could also work on a master bus. So let's take a listen to this now on an entire mix. But now let me reset this a little bit, and we're gonna put this on the entire mix and hear what happens. So we've got keys, bass, drums, and just have the one track of Sophia's vocals on.
I can't hide this fire inside of me, just to dim my light for you. That very spark
Right out of the gates. Ooh, that's cool.
So why now would you rather be in the dark? You're in and out.
Not even pushing it.
You're up and down. You unravel me. Maybe I can make you happy.
All right, now we're gonna push a little bit.
I can't hide this fire inside of me, just to dim my light for you. That
You feel it pull the drums back a little. This would be one of those spots where subtlety is probably better than what I'm gonna do now. What?
You're up and down.
But I could be wrong.
You unravel me. Maybe I can make you happy. 'Cause I don't know what you want. I can't hide this fire inside of me, just to dim
It definitely does some nice glue.
you.
Let's go. Let's push it. Come on now.
Attracted you to me.
Uh-oh.
So why now would you rather be in the dark? You're in and out. You're up and down.
You really, I mean, besides the crunch factor, listen to the keyboards. It's really pulled the fullness of those out. So let's do this.
I can't hide this fire inside of me, just to dim my light for you. That very spark attracted you to me. So why now would you rather be in the dark? You're in and out. You're up and down.
Ooh, really pulls those keyboards out. I'm gonna pull them back just a hair.
Maybe I can make you happy. 'Cause I don't know what you want. I can't hide this fire inside of me, just to dim my light for you.
Yeah, this would be one of those spots where if I were to use it in this part of the chain, being the mix bus, I would probably err on the side of a bit more subtlety with them. But that could be a really nice way to thicken a mix up, or if you're mixing entirely in the box, this could be a great way to just add a little bit of analog warmth and thickness to your mixes. But I do want to try this with the keys real quick because I haven't done that. That's kind of cool. What if we pushed it a little bit? See if we can add a little grit to the keyboard sound. Ooh. Oh. Back it off a little. Ooh. That's neat. What's that sound like?
I can't hide this fire inside of me, just to dim my light for you. That very spark attracted you to me. So why now would you rather be in the dark? You're in and out.
Let's push them a little bit.
You're up and down. You unravel me. Maybe I can make you happy. 'Cause I don't know what you want. I can't hide this fire inside of me. Just to dim my light for you. That very spark attracted you to me. So why now would you?
That is a really cool thing for the keys. Not only does it add a little weight, but that little bit of that kind of clipping, that the distortion that you hear from that saturation is really well suited for the keys. Because in context, it actually just helps it cut and give it some character, but you don't really hear that it's breaking up as much as you do if you just solo it. There you hear it. It's very obvious.
I can't hide this fire inside of me. Just to dim my light.
Wow, that was unexpected. I didn't plan on doing that. That was kind of cool. So that's the 15IPS. There's a lot of other ways you could use it, but I highly, highly recommend getting into the whole color format. This is a very cost-effective way to get some really cool analog sounds, build some really cool analog signal chains, save a little money by building it yourself, get a new skill, and then also know that you're the one who put it all together, which is pretty satisfying too. So I highly recommend them. Go check out DIYRE. And until the next video, everybody, happy recording. I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me. Take care.